Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to fill text with an image using Inkscape. I did this same type of thing, this same effect, and I showed how to do it in GIMP not too long ago, but I thought I would show you how to do the same thing in Inkscape, so let's get into it. First we need an instance of Inkscape open, so I'm going to click that and open it, and when it opens I'm going to put it on screen so that we can see it. And you basically start with your document open and you want to import the image that you're going to use to fill the text with. And I have an image that I want, so I can come up here to File and click it and then click Open and then click through all of my files on my computer to find the one I need and bring it in. Or another way that you can do that is to just simply go to the folder that has the image in it, like I have here. I'm going to use this one, Majestic Medium, and I'm just going to drag it and drop it into the document. And when you do that, you're going to get this pop-up window that says, hey, we're bringing a PNG bitmap image into Inkscape, and it wants to know, hey, do you want to embed this file or link it? Do you want to use the image DPI, the dots per inch, that's in the file that you're bringing in, or do you want to use Inkscape's default? You can just leave these as the way they are. I will just mention this one at the top. What the difference between these two methods is pretty simple, and most people are going to want it to be embedded, but I'll explain what the difference is. If you bring the file in and embed it, that means all of the data in the file that you brought in stays inside this file, which means if you save this file and then put it on like a USB drive and then unplug it and take it and put it into another computer and open it, you're going to have the image that you imported. If you just link it, it leaves the image where it's at on your computer, and it never brings that information into Inkscape. It simply points to it. So if you ever move this Inkscape file, you're going to have to move the file that's linked to it, if that makes any sense. So most people are going to want to embed the file, and then if you don't need it afterwards, you can just delete that layer out of your Inkscape project, and then you still have the file where it came from, and you've done your derivative work and you're finished, so you don't really need the original. But we're going to leave it embedded and bring it in. So here's the one we're going to work with. It's this mountain image, and as you guessed, the word we're going to use is majestic, because that's what the file's called to start with, because this is a very majestic looking mountain in my opinion. So let's use our text tool, which is right over here in Inkscape. I'm pointing to it, the A, that letter A. If you hover over it for a minute, you'll see that the hotkey or the shortcut key is the same in Inkscape as it is in GIMP. It's the T key. So that means if you just hit, I'm using the Selector Tool right here right now, but if I hit the T key, watch what happens to my cursor. Now I'm in the text tool. And when I'll just go back to the Selector Tool by hitting S, watch what happens up here at the top when I go into that text tool. So don't watch my cursor, just watch up here at the top. When I select that toolbar changes, and now we're inside the text tool, and we have all the settings up here for the text tool. You can see we have the font that the text is going to write in, the type of, that's the font name, but this is the style of that font. This one happens to be condensed. Sometimes you'll get one that has bold, italic, semi-bold, black. It'll have, some of them will have like 5 or 10 different variations. This one just has one, and it has the size up here, and you can set that either by typing in a number, or you can choose a drop down. Our file is going to be so big that 144 is not big enough. We need something like 200. And it's points right now, and you can work in points, pixels, millimeters, whatever you want. Because vector graphics tend to really be, once you get them created, if they're all vector and there's no raster in them, this one's going to have a raster image in it, so the size would matter on that. But vector, if they're vector only, this really isn't going to be any issue at all, because vectors print, they print crisp no matter how big you make them. So I don't even really pay attention to this when I'm working in Inkscape, and if I'm only using vector images. You got your line spacing, which doesn't apply in this case, and your alignment doesn't apply. None of these other ones really apply, because what we're doing is we're just typing a single word. So I'm just going to click on the image and type out the word majestic, and you'll see that we have it there. Once you get done typing it in, I just come over here to the select tool and click it, and then come back here and start dragging this thing around where I want it. Now it's a little big. I want to scale it down a little bit, so if you click on it, you'll get these arrows, and that tells you that you're working with this as an object. You're not working with it as a path. And I'll explain the difference on that in a different video, because right now it doesn't matter. But just know that there's a difference. Just because you're working with something and it looks the same doesn't necessarily mean it's the same kind of object that you're working with. Right now we're just going to use this as an object, so I'm going to hold down Ctrl and Shift, and I'm going to drag this arrow in a little bit just to make it a little smaller, and I think that's about right. So if you notice in this image, see this pattern that these birds are flying in? It kind of makes a natural C. So I think I would like to have those birds kind of in this part of the C so that they're all visible. So I'm going to try to drop that C right over the top of those birds. And I think there's another one over here that's going to end up in the T by doing that. So I'm just going to leave that just like that. And yeah, I think I'm barely inside the lines there, but I think that'll work. So now that we have everything lined up like we want it, all we have to do is select the text and then hold down Shift and select the image. Now we have both of these selected, and you can verify that by looking at your layers panel up here. Both are selected, they're both highlighted. Then come up here to Object, come down to Clip, and we want to set that clip. So we're going to clip that image where the text is, basically. As it says when you point at it, apply clipping path to selection using the topmost object as the path. And that's basically what we did. We put the text over the image, and now we're going to clip that image with that text. So set clip, and there you have it. So you have your image inside of your text. Now there's some other things that you can do with this, and I'll just show you one of them. So I'm going to hit Ctrl-Z to undo what we just did. All right, and before I do the clip, I'm going to duplicate this text, and that's real easy to do. You can just come up here to, I think it's Object. Actually it might be, yeah, it's the layer. It's not object, it's layer. If you come up here to layer and come down here to duplicate current layer, actually it might be an object as well. No, let's see. Yeah, it's neither one of those. Yeah, it's not in there. So I'll tell you what, I don't even really know where it is, honestly, because I don't use that. What I normally do is I just click on it and hold down Control and hit D. And if you notice over here, watch what happens. I'll Control Z to undo that. But if I select this, watch what happens over here when I hit Control D. See, it just created a duplicate and it put it right on top of the old one. That's the easiest way to do it, and that's why I can't find where it is in here. So I'm going to drag the one that I just made off of the canvas, and now I'm going to redo what we did a moment ago by clicking on the text that we left where we wanted it, and I'm going to shift and click down on the image and then come back up here to Object and Clip and Set Clip. And so now we're right back to where we were before, only now we have a black copy of the exact same text. And that's how we're going to do the next effect. Similar to what we did in the the GIMP demo, we're going to put a border around this. Now in GIMP we used a drop shadow, and I showed you how you could make it into a border. In this case, what we're going to do is we're going to use a copy of the text. We're just going to put it underneath. Right now it's on a layer above, as you can see over here in the right. The text is over the top of the clipped image. So what we want to do is just drag this down underneath it. And now it's on the layer below. So now when we drag this, see how it goes behind it? So now we have basically what we need for our border. The problem is lining these up. Well, Inkscape has an alignment tool that makes that real easy. So if you just drop it wherever, in fact, let me highlight exactly how that works. I'll just bring this down here. I'll put that up there. I'm going to make it obvious of how this thing works. So all you have to do is select both objects you want to align. And if you come over here to the alignment tool, the alignment panel, now if you don't have this in yours, I think it's one of the default ones, but it may not be. If you don't see this, if yours looks similar to this and it doesn't have an alignment, all you have to do is click this drop down and just find alignment in this list. Look at all these other panels that you can use. And just select Align and Distribute, and that'll bring up this panel. Now, this panel is very powerful, and you can use it to basically, the main way I use it is if you imagine a bunch of papers that are all scattered out on a tabletop, and you just scoop them all up and stand them up and then straighten them all up together. That's basically what we're going to do here. We have these two layers. We're just going to select both of them, and we're going to leave this set to relative to page. What this means is whenever I'm just going to demonstrate a couple of features, but just making it relative to the page, all you have to do is see this one, which means center, and if you point to them, it'll tell you what it's going to do. This will center the two things on a vertical axis. That means, I'm going to make it a little more obvious. I'm going to move this over here and then select them. Alright, so now when I click this, it's going to line these two things up vertically. Watch what happens. Now they're exactly aligned with one another. And incidentally, because we said relative to the page, they're both aligned relative based on where they are on the page. If we did, watch what happens if we change that page setting. Okay, let's say we had this one over here and this one down here, or actually better yet, let's make this one centered and we'll make this one off-centered. Now watch what happens. You have different options in here. You can set this relative to the last one that you select, the first one you select, the biggest object, the smallest object, the page, which is what we're going to do, drawing, or the selection area. You can use those for various things, but the simplest one that most people are going to use a lot is the page one. But I'm just going to demonstrate what these first two do, because you might want to use those at some point. So if I select this one first, and then I hold down Shift and select this one, this was the first one selected, and that one was the last one selected. If I change this to first selected, now what it's going to do is it's not going to move that first one that I selected. It's only going to move everything else to match that. And if I change this to last selected, then it's not going to move this one. It's going to move this to match that. So let me just demonstrate it with first selected, because this one's off of the canvas, so we'll just do it that way. Now if I click align on the vertical axis, that means it's going to find the middle of this, and it's going to align the middle of this one up with where that one's middle is. So let's just click that, and you'll see that now they're both, because this one was aligned with the center of the page to start with, they both are now. And you can verify that by just changing this to page and clicking center, and they don't move. However, if we want them if we want them on the horizontal center, we can click this one, and now they're aligned. So that was a long explanation of how to center this, but you got a little brief demonstration of the align and distribute panel. Well, actually just the align part. There is a distribute part too that we'll cover in different videos, but this is something that you can use right now, especially for what type of thing we're doing here. But it makes lining things up really easy. So there is your text with a mountain embedded in the text. And you could do this with any image and any text. All you have to do is know how to line them up and what to click after you get them all lined up, and Inkscape will take that image, stick it inside of some text, and then you can just select everything. And I'll go to the, see how we have one layer that has these two items on it. If you select all those and then hold down Control and hit G, it will group those, and now that's a group of items. So if I go and drag that around, they're working as a group now. And you could, you could even take it further. You could export this as a PNG file and make the background transparent. I'll just show you how to do that. You may want to do that if you want to bring it into GIMP to use it in some sort of a composition that you're doing in GIMP. So to export this as a PNG, all you have to do is select what you want to export, or you don't even have to really select it. As long as it's on the page, you can come to your, and I don't see it up here, but if you remember, how do you find one of these? You just come over here, click the drop down, and then we're looking for the export panel. It might take me a minute to find it. It's right there. So we'll click that, and it opens up this panel. Now, if you're going to print out whatever it is, you might want to change this DPI to something like 300. And watch what happens when I change the DPI. All of this up here is going to get enlarged. The width and the height is going to get enlarged to roughly 3 times the size of what it was before, because this was at 96 before, and 300 is 3.125 times the size of 96. So it changes the DPI, but to export it, all you do is open this panel, set your DPI settings, and then come down here and click this little folder, and that will let you pick where you want it to go. I'm just going to put it on my desktop. And so I click the desktop, and I'm going to name this. It's not bitmap.png. I want to call this mountain, and I'm just going to leave it at that and click save. And then Inkscape is going to go to work, and you'll see that little thinking bar that didn't take very long in this case, but if the file's pretty big, it'll take a while, but it's already exported. So now what I can do is I can close Inkscape down and save it if I want to and give it a name. I'm not going to save this one, but let me see if I can find, and I'll show you where I will show you the file here. So on my desktop, it is right here. So if I just opened it with Windows Photos, but you could open this with GIMP and then bring it in and use it, because it is a PNG file, and as you can see, it has a transparent background because Inkscape exported it and just left off, well, there was no background, it was just text. So that's how you fill text with an image, and even how to put an outline or a border around the text using Inkscape. I hope that helps, and thanks for watching.